What if the very people stopping you from living your greatest life are people who have never even tried to live theirs? What if every time you stopped yourself from speaking up, starting over, raising your hand, or sharing your truth, you were giving your precious, irreplaceable power to someone sitting safely in the cheap seats, someone who has never once stepped into the arena, never dared to fail, never had the courage to even try? What if I told you that the critic's voice you hear loudest at 3 a.m., the one that says you are not enough, not ready, not worthy, what if that voice does not belong to someone wiser than you? It belongs to someone smaller than you, someone who chose comfort over courage. What if the moment you stop listening to the person who has never entered the arena is the moment your entire life changes forever? Stay with me, because what I am about to share will not just change how you see your critics, it will change how you see yourself. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The arena is waiting, and you were born to be in it. What if the most dangerous person in your life is not your enemy, but the critic you have been listening to your entire life who has never once had the courage to do what you are trying to do? I want you to sit with that for a moment. Really sit with it. Because here's what I know. After years of research, after thousands of interviews, after sitting across from human beings at their most broken and their most brave, the people who are pointing fingers at you from the stands have never once felt the dust and the sweat and the blood of the arena on their skin. And yet, and this is what breaks my heart, we hand them our worth. We hand them our dreams. We hand them our silence. We let them decide whether we are enough. What if I told you that is the most expensive thing you will ever give away for free? There is a quote that I stumbled upon that cracked something wide open inside of me, and it goes like this: "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." I read those words and I wept. Because in that moment, I recognized something I had been doing my whole life. I had been writing my story with someone else's pen. I had been letting the critics in the cheap seats narrate my worth. Now, let me tell you something about vulnerability, and I know that word makes people uncomfortable. I know it does, because it made me uncomfortable for a very long time. I used to think vulnerability was weakness. I used to think that if I could just appear strong enough, perfect enough, together enough, nobody could touch me, nobody could hurt me, the armor would protect me. But here is the devastating truth about armor. It does not just keep the bad stuff out, it keeps the good stuff out too. It keeps out joy, connection, love, creativity, and belonging. And when you numb vulnerability, you numb everything. So we build these walls, we perfect ourselves, we perform, we hustle for our worthiness, and then we look up one day and wonder why we feel so completely and utterly alone in a room full of people who are applauding us. I call this the hustling for worthiness trap. And so many of us are caught in it, running faster, achieving more, shrinking ourselves, morphing ourselves, trying to earn the love and the belonging that we should have never had to earn in the first place because we were born worthy. And who told us we were not worthy? Who planted that seed? The critics, the ones in the cheap seats. Now I want to be very specific about something because this is important. The critics I am talking about are not people offering you genuine, caring, honest feedback. Those people matter. Those are the people who have earned the right to be heard because they love you, because they are willing to have the hard conversation with you, because they are in it with you. Those are your people. Hold them close. I am talking about the other ones, the ones hiding behind screens, the ones who mock without creating anything themselves, the ones whose entire sense of self depends on making you feel small because your bigness terrifies them, the ones who have never dared, never tried, never bled for something that mattered. Those critics, they do not get a seat at the table of your life, full stop. But here is the complicated, messy, deeply human part of all of this. Those external critics are almost never the most dangerous ones. The most dangerous critic lives inside you. And she sounds remarkably like the people who hurt you the most. She knows exactly which words to use. She knows your every insecurity. She knows precisely when to show up. Right before you take the big leap, right before you say the brave thing, right before you try again after failing. That inner critic is sophisticated. She has been practicing on you your whole life. And here is what shame does, because this is where shame enters the room, and I need you to understand this. Shame tells you that you are not just someone who failed. Shame tells you that you are a failure. There is a profound and world-changing difference between those two statements. Guilt says I did something bad. Shame says I am bad. And shame is the most powerful, most universal human experience that none of us want to talk about and all of us feel. Shame thrives in silence. Shame thrives in secrecy. Shame dies when you speak it. When you say it out loud to someone who has earned the right to hear it, shame loses its power over you instantly. This is why the critics want you silent. A silent, ashamed version of you is a version of you that will never enter the arena. A silent, ashamed version of you is manageable, controllable, small. But a daring, vulnerable, wholehearted version of you, that is terrifying to people who have chosen comfort over courage, because your courage is a mirror, and they cannot stand what they see in it. So what does it mean to truly dare greatly? What does it actually look like to choose the arena over the cheap seats? It means you show up, imperfectly, incompletely, with your heart hammering in your chest. It means you create the thing even though you might be terrible at it at first. It means you have the conversation even though your voice might shake. It means you raise your hand even though you do not know all the answers. It means you say, "I love you" first. It means you try again after the spectacular, public, humiliating failure that had people whispering. It means you choose courage over comfort every single, not because it is easy, it is never easy, but because a life lived in the cheap seats, a life spent watching others dare while you play it safe, is the most heartbreaking story I know. And I have heard that story thousands of times, in research interviews, in my own bathroom mirror at 2 a.m. Here is what wholehearted people, the ones who have learned to live from a place of worthiness rather than scarcity, here is what they understand that the rest of us are still learning. They understand that they are enough right now. Not when they lose the weight, not when they get the promotion, not when they fix the relationship, not when they finally have it all figured out. They are enough right now, in this moment, with all of their beautiful, messy imperfections. They do not hustle for love. They let themselves receive it. They do not perform joy. They practice gratitude, and they let themselves feel it, even though feeling joy when you are used to waiting for the other shoe to drop feels absolutely terrifying. They lean into vulnerability, not because it feels good. It rarely feels good, but because they know that on the other side of vulnerability is every single thing that makes life worth living. Connection, belonging, love, creativity, innovation, change. None of those things exist without vulnerability. None of them. And so here is what I want to leave sitting in your heart today, because I believe in saying the hard, true thing and trusting you to be brave enough to hear it. The critics are not going away. They will never go away. The internet has given the cheap seats a megaphone and a comment section. There will always be someone ready to tell you why you should not try, why you will fail, why you are not enough. But here's the question that matters. Are you going to show up anyway? Are you going to walk into that arena with your heart wide open, knowing you might fail, knowing people will watch, knowing it will be hard and messy and uncertain, and do it anyway? Not perfectly, not fearlessly, not with a guarantee of success, but fully, wholeheartedly, with every ounce of courage you have, because that is what daring greatly means. It is not about winning, it is about showing up. The world does not need more people in the cheap seats. The world is full of people in the cheap seats. What the world is desperate for, what your family, your community, your future is desperate for, is one more person willing to step into the arena, and that person can be you right now, exactly as you are. So let me bring this home for you, because everything we have talked about today circles back to one undeniable, research-backed, soul-level truth. You are the only one who gets to decide whether you are enough. Not the critics, not the trolls, not the voice at 3 a.m., not the person who left, not the one who laughed. You. The arena of your life is waiting. It has always been waiting. And every single day you choose the cheap seats, every single day you let someone else's fear or someone else's smallness determine the size of your life, is a day that belonged to you that you handed away. Choose the arena, choose vulnerability, choose courage, choose to show up, fail, learn, get up, and show up again. Because that is not just the brave choice. That is the only choice that will ever make you feel truly, deeply, wholly alive. The dust and the sweat and the blood of the arena, that is not the evidence that you failed. That is the evidence that you lived. And that is what counts.